We're counting down 7 of the most commonly accepted Christian facts that just do not match the Bible. From widespread sayings you would swear are scripture, to famous images and phrases with surprising origins. These entries reveal how tradition and culture can reshape core beliefs. Which misconception tops the list? Let's begin our journey by looking at the angelic myth that opens our countdown at number 7. Images of angels with white robes and feathered wings fill stained glass windows, Christmas cards and Sunday school books. But in the Bible, most angels look nothing like this. Hebrews 13 verse 2 describes people unknowingly meeting angels who appear just like ordinary men. When Abraham welcomed 3 visitors in Genesis, they looked so human he offered them a meal. The familiar winged angels in art go back to the late 4th century, when early Christian artists borrowed from Greek and Roman gods like Nike and Eros, who were often shown with wings to symbolize power or swiftness. Only a few biblical creatures like the 6-winged seraphim in Isaiah 6 or the multi-winged cherubim in Ezekiel are described with wings. Those beings are mysterious throne guardians more than ordinary messengers. Most biblical angels deliver messages, guide or protect, and they blend in with the crowd. The wings came later, shaped more by tradition and art than by scripture. The phrase "God helps those who help themselves" appears in sermons, stitched on pillows and passed down as if it came straight from the Bible. But the saying first appears in Aesop's fables, where Hercules tells a man to put his own shoulder to the wheel. Centuries later, Benjamin Franklin printed it in Poor Richard's Almanac, and it took root in American culture. Despite its popularity, the Bible teaches something different. Ephesians 2 verses 8 through 9 says this: "For by grace you have been saved through faith, and this is not your own doing, it is the gift of God, not a result of works." The gospel centers on grace for the helpless, not rewards for the self-reliant. This familiar saying reflects self-help tradition, not scriptural truth. Cleanliness is next to godliness sounds like it belongs in the Bible, but the phrase comes from a sermon by John Wesley in 1778. Wesley wrote that cleanliness is indeed next to godliness to encourage neatness, not to create a new commandment. The slogan gained steam in the Victorian era, appearing in moral instruction and even in soap advertisements where it linked hygiene to spiritual worth. In contrast, Jesus taught something different. In Mark 7:15, Jesus told his followers that nothing outside a person can defile them by going into them. Rather, it is what comes out of a person that defiles. The Bible's focus is on the purity of the heart, not the shine of the skin. When a catchy phrase replaces scripture, it can quietly shift the meaning of holiness from inner transformation to outward appearance. Question assumptions, read scripture for yourself, and join the conversation in the comments. Few sayings have shaped Christian attitudes toward wealth, like the phrase "money is the root of all evil." But this is not what the Bible actually says. The real text in 1 Timothy chapter 6 verse 10 warns, "For the love of money is a root of all kinds of evil." The difference is crucial. The original Greek word philarguria points to greed or an unhealthy craving for wealth, not money itself. Over time, especially during the economic hardships of the Great Depression, preachers and pamphlets trimmed the verse for punch, fueling guilt and suspicion around having or seeking money. This shortcut quietly shifts the focus from stewardship and generosity to blanket condemnation. The Bible's warning is about where our loyalty lies, not about demonizing resources. When tradition erases nuance, it changes how people understand both God's character and their own calling. Many people believe that all sins are the same in God's eyes, but the Bible draws careful lines between lesser and greater wrongs. In Matthew chapter 5 verse 19, Jesus speaks of the least of these commandments and the greatest, showing a clear hierarchy. The Mosaic law also set different penalties for theft, murder, or false witness, reflecting the weight of each offence. James chapter 3 verse 1 warns that teachers will be judged more strictly, and 1 John chapter 5 verses 16 to 17 distinguishes between sins that lead to death and those that do not. These passages reveal a moral landscape with real distinctions. The idea that all sins are equal flattens the depth of Scripture, missing the nuance woven through both the Old and New Testament. Many Christians are taught that prayer can persuade God to change his mind, as if enough requests might bend his will. Yet the Bible describes God as unchanging. Numbers 23 verse 19 says, "God is not a man that he should lie, or a son of man that he should change his mind." James 1 verse 17 calls him the Father of lights, with whom there is no variation or shadow due to change. Early church thinkers like Augustine wrote that prayer does not alter God, but transforms the one who prays, aligning human hearts with God's purposes rather than steering his decisions. Petition is welcomed, but Scripture presents God's will as steady, not negotiable. The idea of prayer as a tool to sway God reflects more of human wishfulness than biblical teaching. This invites a closer look at what it means to trust in a steadfast Creator. No phrase is more widely quoted or more widely misquoted than the image of the lion lying down with the lamb. Isaiah 11:6 actually says the wolf shall dwell with the lamb, describing a future peace where natural enemies live together. The lion-lamb pairing took hold in the 1800s, especially through Edward Hicks's Peaceable Kingdom paintings, which showed lions and lambs side by side as a symbol of harmony. Tradition, hymns, and Sunday school art soon followed, spreading the phrase far beyond its scriptural roots. The real verse offers hope. The details matter. Scripture's vision of peace does not need a lion and a lamb to be beautiful. Reading closely brings out even deeper meaning. Across all these myths, one pattern stands out. Tradition often reshapes belief more than Scripture does. The real challenge is knowing the difference. Faith grows stronger when we question, not just accept.